So there's no reason you can't do other shapes. So if I want to fit, let's say I have a text box like this, and I want to fit my letters across, there's no reason I couldn't divide up that space moving across. Here's the middle. I'm going to divide this into 3, and now I have space for my M, O, M, and then I got to do the same thing over here. E, N, T. And I can mess with the spacing. I've kind of ended up with a gap over here. Maybe I didn't measure carefully. But I can start from something like that changes size. Or you can take and make your text expand intentionally. Now, if you do this, you have to think about whether these letters are going to be larger. Do you want to have the middle point in the middle, or do you want to shift it over a bit? And I'm going to shift it over a bit so that the letters at the end are a little bit narrower and the letters at the beginning are a little bit wider. So now I have my M, O, M, E, N, T, and you see how much taller they're getting. I can even, if I want to get wacky, I want to get really crazy, I can create what are essentially orthogonal lines and make sure that my E follows those lines, or my T, the top of my T follows those lines, so that they get bigger as they come up. You know, they come towards us, they come towards the end. Now you can also do other shapes. So I have just a lid, a butter lid here, the one I used for glue, in fact, and I'm going to circle, trace that, so I have a circle shape, and I'm going to divide this one as well. Now, moment is a big word to fit into this space, so I may be going to split it into pieces. But I can fill in this entire space by having my M take up space differently on either side of the composition. So M, E, N, T. And I'm doing this fast, and there's two reasons. One is because you don't need to watch me goof around here on letters for a super long time. You understand the concept. I'm dividing the space and then filling it. But the other thing is I can do these bubble letters pretty fast because I've actually done this a lot. And so if you haven't done this before, you may find that getting the letters spaced the way you want them takes you some time. Don't forget this guy at the end, right? If you don't like how you've started, my recommendation is start them all in pencil and start them all fairly light. But if you don't like where you've ended up, make some adjustments. You can change the font. In fact, you might look at some different font options. In something like this, if I had my letters kind of squeeze into each other's space like that, that could be kind of fun. I could even have them create kind of a curve that matches that outside curve. Maybe the bottom of my T and the top of my top bar of the T can match that curve. My M is already matching that curve. And they can kind of butt into suggest that shape a little bit better. Your assignment here is going to be to play with both fonts, and by font I mean, when you change the font in the computer, right, you can go from a font that has just plain letters to a font that has serifs. So serifs are these little thingies that stick on the bottom, or if you have a T, these little thingies that stick off the sides. You can do bubble letters, you can do lowercase versus uppercase. You can do ones that have, a curve to them. So remember we talked about calligraphic lines. We're not going to learn calligraphy in here, but if you add swirls and things like that, you can create letters that have a different character than the bubble letters or the serifs or the sans serifs. And there is a correct way to do calligraphy. There are ways you can learn to do calligraphy. But my recommendation for this project is play around with stuff. Try to create some letters that look, soft and squishy, and some letters that look twirly and swirly. You can even, when I've taught design in a combination with a graphics program like like Photoshop, you can even fill in your space with a pattern or even with something, you know, that looks a particular way. Let's play around with one. I'm going to put a T here for us to work with, but maybe I want my T to look like plants. And so I'm going to replace this shape with a leaf shape. And then I'm going to have maybe a branch come over here, and this is a leaf here. Strange things happened with that leaf. Sorry about that. Maybe there's a big leaf that comes over here. Now, at some point you lose your legibility, but right now, because I sketched in the T shape, I have some of that framework for trying to make it continue to look like a T shape. And if I wanted to, I could then later come back through and erase these extra lines. I'm going to have to check if that still looks like a T, and if it doesn't, I may need to add something in somewhere here to make it work. But right now it doesn't look like a T, but it's possible that with other letters it looks enough like a T that it can be legible. The goal on this assignment, this particular planning assignment, is play, have fun, try something that doesn't work, make a mistake, because if you're making a mistake, we know that you're trying something that you haven't necessarily done before.